Hi, good evening, and welcome back to today's newspaper analysis, which is part of our Roznama. So, today is the 9th of February 2026, and we are going to be taking a look at all of the articles which are important for your exam from the perspective of Clat and ALET. So, without any further delay, let's make a start. Now, an important article featured today in all of the newspapers relates to the election that is taking place in Japan. Okay, so as you know, late in 2025, Japan got its first female PM. Okay, so it was only in 2025 that Japan got its first female PM. What is her name? Her name is Sanae Takaichi. Sanae Takaichi. Sanae Takaichi is the first female prime minister of Japan. And now this is the time she's faced general elections and she is set for a landslide victory. Okay, so what is important for you to remember? First female PM of Japan, Sanae Takaichi. She will continue to be the PM absent any unfortunate circumstances through your Clat exam. One or two basic points about Japan. You should know its capital, which is Tokyo. What sort of system do they follow? They are a constitutional monarchy. That is to say, they do have an emperor. However, he acts on the aid and advice of his council of ministers led by the prime minister. The homework for you is to find out the name of the Japanese emperor. Okay, moving forward, the next article is from the other newspaper. You don't have to know the name of the political parties, etc., etc. Okay, that is not so relevant. Now, today I have flagged news articles relating to elections in 3 different countries. Number 1, Japan. The other 2 in our own neighborhood, one in Bangladesh and the other in Myanmar. So this second article is relating to Bangladesh, a very important country. We have a lot of shared history in this subcontinent. The national anthem of Bangladesh was written by the person who wrote the national anthem of India, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. India, of course, fought on the side of the Bangladeshi nationalists against Pakistan in the 1971 Indo-Pak War or War of Bangladeshi Liberation. So we have a lot of history. As you know, there was unrest in Bangladesh over the past couple of years, which ultimately led to the fleeing of Sheikh Hasina, the then Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Okay, now keep in mind, who is considered the father of Bangladesh? Okay, that is something you have to remember. Who is it? It is Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Okay, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. He is also the father of Sheikh Hasina. He is also the father of Sheikh Hasina. Okay, so the founder of the country is considered to be Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. In time, his daughter Sheikh Hasina became the prime minister of Bangladesh. There were massive allegations against her of rigging elections, banning her opposition parties, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, it led to a lot of unrest in the country, creating a situation where she had to flee. I don't know if you know, but Sheikh Hasina, the prime minister in exile or prime minister who fled the country, is currently based in India. She lives in India right now. And she gives statements from time to time to the press as well. So all of this occurred in the last couple of years. Now, after her ouster, who took over the leadership of the country? Okay, that person is Muhammad Yunus. Okay, Muhammad Yunus is a former Nobel Peace Prize winner, and he was chosen to lead the interim government on behalf of the protesters. Okay, so Muhammad Yunus became the caretaker of the government, and he took the title Chief Advisor to the cabinet of Bangladesh. Okay, so founder of Bangladesh, Mujibur Rahman, his daughter Sheikh Hasina was the PM. Unrest in the country, she had to flee. She has fled to India and is right now based in New Delhi. Okay, who is leading Bangladesh? It is Muhammad Yunus, former Nobel Peace Prize winner, who took over as chief advisor to the cabinet of Bangladesh, effectively leading the country himself. Now, this interim arrangement is over and national elections have been announced. They are about to take place in the course of this week. Okay, so this is what this news item is about. The Parliament of Bangladesh is called the Jatiya Sangsad, Jatiyasangsad, the Jatiya Sangsad. Okay, these elections are taking place this week. Okay, now you should know the name of Sheikh Hasina's party. Okay, Sheikh Hasina's political party was called the Awami League. Now, in these elections which are upcoming, Awami League has been disbarred from participating. In fact, it has been dissolved. You can see it here. The Awami League remains banned from contesting the elections. Okay. Instead, what are the parties fighting the elections? The important ones are the BNP, the Bangladesh National Party. Second, the Jamaat-e-Islami. And third, the National Citizens Party. These are the ones which are contesting the forthcoming elections, which will take place this week. Now, you should know the name of an important figure related to BNP or the Bangladesh National Party. Her name is Khaleda Zia. Okay, she is now dead, but her son Rahman was recently permitted to return to Bangladesh, and he is leading the Bangladesh National Party. In fact, you should remember, after Sheikh Hasina fled, she was convicted of crimes against humanity by an international crimes tribunal in Bangladesh. Okay, last point, the elections are of course upcoming. The interim arrangement will end. It will be very important, right? Bangladesh is geostrategically a very important country when it comes to India. Okay, so please keep all of these factors in mind. Last but not the least, along with the elections, there is a constitutional referendum that is also taking place. Now, what is a referendum? Let us distinguish it from an election. In an election, we vote for people to elect them to a certain position. In a referendum, a law or an issue is put before the public for voting. This is an example of direct democracy. So, a constitutional referendum has been put in place, making a huge number of changes to the Bangladeshi constitution. So, along with the elections that will be held, the people of Bangladesh will also be voting for the constitutional referendum. Okay, so I want you to be clear about all of these details. Let's now move on to the next country, which is Myanmar, which recently concluded its election. Okay, please remember the capital of Myanmar. It is Naypyidaw or Naypyidaw. Okay, Naypyidaw or Daw, Naypyidaw. Okay, what was the earlier name of Myanmar? Anyone? It was Burma. Okay, the previous name of Myanmar was Burma. Okay, now as you know, Myanmar or Burma has had a fraught history between democracy and military rule. Okay, so in Myanmar, there is a very particular form of military government that is there. It is called a military junta. Okay, it's written as Junta, but it is pronounced as Hanta. It is actually, I think, a Spanish word. Okay, essentially, which means committee. So, military committee. What is a military? What is the military form of government in Myanmar called? It is a military Hanta or military committee. Okay, so who is it that is currently leading the military government of Myanmar? It is Min Aung Hlaing. Okay, Min Aung Hlaing. Okay, he is the chairman of the State Administration Council and the commander-in-chief of the Myanmarese military, also known as the Tatmadaw. Okay, there is a very important party that is there in Myanmar, which essentially represents the interests of the military. That is called the USDP, or the Union Solidarity and Development Party. You must know the name and full form. If you log into today's Roznama, you will find a set of GK questions for you to attempt based on this very editorial. Okay, so Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, capital Naypyidaw. Okay, a special form of government there, which is a military government. It's called the military Hanta, or rule by military committee. Right now, who is that military leader? He is Min Aung Hlaing, the commander-in-chief of the Myanmarese military, also known as Tatmadaw, and the chairman of the State Administration Council. The military allied party in Myanmar is called USDP, the Union Solidarity and Development Party. Okay. Now, when the military came to power several years ago, it's been almost 5 years, I believe, there was a democratically elected government in power. Okay. It was a government run by which party? It was run by the NLD, or the National League for Democracy. Okay. This was a party under the control or chairpersonship of Aung San Suu Kyi, AANG SAN SUUKYI. Okay, so NLD under the leadership of Aung San Suu Kyi, that was the government in power, where Aung San Suu Kyi was holding a position called State Councillor. However, this government was toppled by the Myanmarese military and replaced with a military junta. Okay, so I wanted to flag all of these details for you. Remember, Myanmar is a member of the ASEAN grouping, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Let's now move forward. The next topic we have here, I'm not getting into it in too much detail. We've discussed it over the last few days. This relates to the motion of thanks. I think I covered it a few days back. Basically, remember, in case of Parliament, the President is mandated to give a special address at the beginning of the first session of each year and at the beginning of the first session of Parliament after each general election. Okay. Similarly, at the state level, the governor has this duty. Okay. We have covered over the last few weeks the problems caused by various governors in the country refusing to read the speeches prepared by their government. This article has been written in context of the President's special address at the beginning of the first session of this year, which is the budget session. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Now, what is the motion of thanks? After the President or the Governor give their speech in Parliament or the state legislature, then a debate takes place. And at the end of the debate, the motion is passed, a motion thanking the President for giving the speech. It is simply a device for the government and the opposition parties to debate the programs and policies of the current government. Now, this article raises an important question. This article says that in the rules of the Lok Sabha, there is a provision that the debate on a motion of thanks has to end only after the Prime Minister has given his reply. In this instance, the Prime Minister refused to come to the House to give his reply, and yet the motion of thanks was passed. This is found particularly galling because the Speaker has been raising all sorts of objections to the leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, quoting parts of an unpublished book by General Naravane. Okay, the book was called 4 Stars of Destiny. Okay, by former retired General M.M. Naravane, former Chief of Army Staff. Okay, so these were some procedural issues. So remember, on this topic, what do you have to remember for GK? When does the president and the governors, right, when do they have to give a special address? Number 1, first session of each calendar year. Second, first session after each election. You will, in your homework, go back and check the article numbers which provide for these particular aspects. Okay, I hope this is absolutely clear. Next, second point is this procedural issue relating to the speech ending without the response of the PM. And the third is about the ruling of the Lok Sabha Speaker that unpublished books cannot be quoted in the House. Most importantly, you should know the definition of a motion of thanks. Okay, so I hope this is absolutely clear. Moving forward, this is a brilliant article in today's The Hindu, written by an exceptional advocate. His name is Apar Gupta, who is the founder director of the Internet Freedom Foundation. So he has written an article arguing that banning social media for younger people, for young adults, is not the right way to go. Rather, he points out that there are many problems associated with this. It is a blunt instrument. And he points out that there are other things that need to be focused on, and a more holistic approach is needed, not a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, so that is the crux of this article. Please do log in to Roznama today on clatpossible.com, and you will be able to attempt both English and critical reasoning questions based on this passage. Okay, so a brilliant article. I know many of you will find some resonance in this article. As you know, in recent years, which country became the first country in the world to ban social media accounts for under 16 children? That country was Australia. Just about 10 days ago, Spain also announced that they are moving forward on such a proposal. Recently, because of the tragedy in Ghaziabad, there has also been some discussion of it in India. But as Apar Gupta argues in this editorial in The Hindu, this would be a really bad idea. Okay, so I seriously advise you to read this article, log into Roznama and practice questions on the same today. Okay, now moving forward, coming to artificial intelligence. Okay, a very important topic for Clat, I would say. As always, paper setters are intrigued with topics on technology, right? Especially things they may themselves not understand as well. Okay, now let me give you a bit of context. One of the major artificial intelligence companies is called Anthropic. Okay, let me show you the thing on a bigger. This is the name of the company. It's called Anthropic. All right. Now, Anthropic is a company, and its large language model chat box is called Claude. Okay. Claude is their equivalent of OpenAI's ChatGPT. You should know these names. Which of these GPTs or LLMs is associated with which company? So Google, Gemini. OpenAI, ChatGPT. Anthropic, Claude. Okay, so this should be clear. Now, recently, about a week back on the 30th of January, what did Anthropic do? Number one, it provided some open source plugins for Claude co-work, okay, which allowed for many tasks to be undertaken on our behalf by these AI assistants. And finally, when they released the latest version of Claude, which is called Claude Opus 4.6, this version had the capability of coordinating multiple different artificial intelligence agents for various kinds of research and various kinds of action. Okay, now what kinds of services were these models able to provide? Everything from reading files, drafting documents, reviewing contracts, executing legal, financial, and sales workflows, as well as marketing with bare minimum human instruction. So these capabilities, when seen in an open market chatbot, caused a huge shock to the financial system. Many technology companies and software companies faced a serious issue. Their stock share prices collapsed. Okay, so which is why an important word we see here is SaaSpocalypse. Okay, let me write it out here for you. Okay, so it spells SaaSpocalypse. First, what is SaaS? SaaS is software as a service. Okay, SaaSpocalypse is a portmanteau of SaaS and apocalypse. So merging the words together, people are calling it SaaSpocalypse. Why? Because many companies, their core business is as SaaS providers, software as a service provider. Okay, and it was seen that with these newer versions of these AI LLM chatbots, many of the functions which required dedicated softwares earlier were easily completed by these AI models. So it led to a huge fear that the advent of these AI models is going to lead to a huge dip in the business of software as a service company. Okay, I have said before, in reality, humanity is hurtling headlong into the crisis of AI. I am not a Luddite. I am not averse to technology. It is just that we are getting into it without properly assessing the risks, and even beyond that, without properly adapting. We do not know yet how fast AI will progress, how many job losses it will cause, right? AI, possibly for the first time in history, is not only going to replace mechanical, labor-intensive work, but it will also replace a lot of intellectual work, which historically has been prioritized, right? So, considering that we are not fully prepared for what is to come, obviously, when things like this happen, it spooks the markets. Okay, but remember the important details we have done. Anthropic, Claude, the latest version is Claude Opus 4.6. The meaning of the word SaaS and SaaSpocalypse. Remember, in GK, it would be absolutely normal to expect basic questions about AI. The meanings of terms like artificial general intelligence, artificial narrow intelligence, artificial super intelligence, the full form of LLM, the full form of GPT in ChatGPT, which AI chatbot belongs to which company. All of these are reasonable questions and can be expected in the exam. Let's now move to the next. This is a topic that ma'am will cover in greater depth in the coming days. But there was a security review meeting held relating to Naxalism. Now, let's get a few things clear. Okay, first of all, what is the root of the word Naxalism or Naxal? Okay, it comes from a place called Naxal Bari, which is in West Bengal, which was the site of a peasant uprising or rebellion in 1967. Okay, now as you know, the Naxal movement believes in militant activity in order to protect their rights. Okay, so Naxalism here falls in the category of left-wing extremism, just as Hindutva-based terrorism or extremism would be called right-wing extremism. Okay, so in India, Naxalism is classified as left-wing extremism. Remember, a lot of these movements which are similar to Naxalism ultimately originate out of poor rights and conditions for the tribal people of India, the Adivasis, the first people of India. Okay, so at the root of many of these extremist movements is what? It is economic deprivation, lack of dignified status. Okay, so please do keep that in mind. Many people have written about Naxalism from all angles. A very important figure from the perspective of Naxalism, his name is Charu Majumdar. Okay, so just keep that in mind as well. Now, what was the news story? Amit Shah, the Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Cooperation, Chairperson of the Northeastern Council, and Chair of the Committee of Parliament on Official Languages, Amit Shah made an announcement. He chaired a security review meeting and said that the country is on track to being free from Naxalism by March 31st. Okay, let's move on. We have covered the trade deal ad nauseum over the past few days. Just remember, the new rate of tariffs is 18% on Indian goods. This is the reciprocal tariff rate. Earlier, the US had also imposed a secondary tariff or rate of duty of 25% to punish India for buying Russian oil. Now, the US has announced that India has agreed to stop buying Russian oil. Okay, India has not accepted any such statement. But anyway, some sort of framework of a deal has been reached between India and the US. And right now, the duty to which Indian goods are subject, the tariff, is 18%. Moving on, something which will be important in the coming days. I know ma'am has covered it in great detail yesterday. Iran says that it has a right to enrich uranium. Okay, so there are ongoing talks between the US and Iran for a new nuclear deal. Of course, the earlier one, which was called JCPOA or Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. This was the original Iran nuclear deal. This deal was torn up by Trump himself in his first term. And of course, once this deal was broken, it appears that Iran is moving forward towards enriching uranium. Okay, so there are now talks ongoing for a new nuclear deal. Nothing has been finalized yet. Know the basics about Iran. Iran is important from India's perspective, especially due to the Chabahar port. This is something that has featured in the Clat and ALET exams several times in the past 5 years. Okay, so Iran is the site of the Chabahar port. You should know their system of government. They have a supreme leader. You should know his name. Remember, Iran is primarily a Shia country. Okay, in fact, the supreme leader of Iran has some connections to my hometown, which is Lucknow. You should know the name of the president of Iran. Obviously, the capital is Tehran. You should know when the Iranian revolution took place, where they removed the Shah of Iran and replaced him with a government headed by the supreme leader. Okay, so all of those details are relevant and important. Moving forward, I just took up this article. It goes into some details, but I just wanted to flag a few specific details. Okay, so it mentions here the Department of Space. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify the structure of the Department of Space. Question 1 is, who is the minister who is responsible for the Department of Space? From the very beginning, it has always been the Prime Minister. Second, who serves as the Secretary of the Department of Space? It is the ISRO chairperson. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify this structure for you. Homework for you is to, of course, check the name of the chairperson of ISRO. Moving forward, this is a very small one. This was an editorial today, I believe, in the Indian Express. Speaking of Begumpura. Okay, now this is something that is linked to Sant Ravidas. You might remember that this year's budget on the 1st of Feb coincided with Sant Ravidas Jayanti. Okay, so Begumpura is a context or is a concept developed by Sant Ravidas. What does this word translate to as per Sant Ravidas? A city without grief or a city without sorrow. If you have been following the top 5 news items on Roznama, you might have seen this slide relating to Sant Ravidas on the 1st or 2nd of Feb. So he was an important Bhakti saint and he had developed the concept of Begumpura or a city without sorrow or grief. Okay, and in fact, right around the time of the budget, the Adhampur airport in Punjab was also renamed Sant Ravidas Airport. So I just thought I would take the opportunity of this article to flag once again the concept and Sant Ravidas. Finally, we have a preview, something we've covered in the, I think, in yesterday's top 5 news, the upcoming AI Impact Summit, which is happening in India from the 16th to 20th of February. This is poised to be one of the biggest AI gatherings in the world. And the government claims that this is the first time this summit is happening in the global south. Okay, so it has several concepts. I want you to log in to Roznama and check them out. There is, of course, a theme. There are 7 chakras, there are 3 sutras, and so on and so forth. So please do have a look. If you want a preview, I have given it here right from the Roznama, right? What the national vision is, the 3 sutras, the 7 chakras, and the previous history of the AI summits. The AI Safety Summit in Bletchley, the AI Seoul Summit in South Korea, the AI Action Summit co-hosted by France and India, which took place last year. And finally, this year, we have the India AI Impact Summit, which will take place in 2 weeks. Okay, so that's all for the day. These are the important articles I wanted to flag for all of you. Stay tuned. You can subscribe to our channel so you do not miss these videos. We try to keep these short and succinct. For more details, to practice questions on many of these articles, to read the top 5 news stories of the day, I encourage you to log in to the Roznama at clatpossible.com. Nice to see all of you this evening. Good evening and goodbye.